We are on time. Good morning, everybody. Glad to see we have quorum. Thank you for coming in, Pam. Just like to start the Thursday, August 10th meeting, and let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Thank you.
How are you?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, if we could do the roll call, please.
Here. Here.
Here. Here.
Morning.
Here. Here. All right. Do we have a motion to approve the June 8th, 2023 TDC Meeting?
So moved.
Mr. Johnson, a second. Thank you, Mr. Wachulis. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. And public to be heard. Anybody out in the audience? Mr. Carver. Good seeing you after this many months.
Carver with the RV Association, now retired. I just wanted to say to the staff, thank you very much for the many years I've been attending. Staff's been terrific, the friends I've made over the years. I retired in December, and it was a little final for me, so I really wanted to come down one more time and say thank you very much. I've worked with a number of you, Pam, for all those years we did shows with you. The staff has been terrific, and you really made it easy for me to get the information I needed from my clients, and I really appreciate that and all the hard work you do, and you're probably not recognized enough, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Jack, same back at you, buddy. It was great working with you. We miss you in your role, but we wish you all the best in retirement. And it's really, you saw how I lit up when I saw you in the parking lot because they're so happy to see you. Yeah, well, join the club, I think.
Thank you, Jack. Anybody else public to be heard? Yes, please.
My name is Ellen Vaughn. I'm with Friends of the Mound House, and I'm here representing the Mound House on Fort Myers Beach. And I just want to say thank you very much for all the support that you show to not only to the Mound House, but all the wonderful attractions that we have here in Southwest Florida. It's critical that the support you provide helps keep us all afloat, particularly in this post-Ian time. Thank you.
Thank you.
On behalf of the Dean Darlene Wildlife Society, we want to thank the board for the support they've shown to us over the years and to all the attractions here in Lee County. We all become stronger through these grants, and we are really grateful to be a recipient and really appreciate it. And I want to say a special thank you to Nancy and Allison on their work with us during the process. So thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Lisa Wilson with Edison and Ford Winter Estates. I also want to thank the TDC for their support over all of these years. It really means a lot to us. We've been able to do a lot of out-of-market advertising with those funds, and we know that we get people from all over the country and all over the world, actually, that come to visit us. And those people not only help our organization, but they also stay in our local hotels and eat at the restaurants and shop in the stores. So we know that those funds support the entire region. We're very excited to let all of you know that we've recently recorded our Chinese script. We've been wanting to do that for a long time. We finally had an opportunity to do it, and we're adding that to our app now. So even our Chinese visitors will be able to listen to the tour in their native language. So thank you again for your support.
Thank you. States look really good, by the way. Anybody else? Any other public to be heard?
Devin Parker from the Sidney and Byrne Davis Arts Center. I just wanted to also echo some of my colleagues in thanking you for your support of the attractions marketing funding, and we're excited to undertake some new video marketing projects. Thanks to the TDC for that, and we look forward to seeing you for our 2023-2024 season. It's going to be a grand season at the Sidney and Byrne Davis Arts Center.
Any other public to be heard? Okay. Seeing none. Municipalities to be heard.
Good morning, everyone. Sharon Woodbury, Economic and Business Development Officer for the City of Cape Coral. It's good to see everyone today. So I just wanted to give you some highlights on some things that are happening in the City of Cape Coral and some updates. One of the things I'd like to talk about today is the recent announcement of the Slipaway Food Truck Park and Marina, which will be located on the Caloosahatchee River, right on the edge of downtown Cape Coral. A $20 million project where we'll have 10 food trucks, 30 boat slips, pathways, and a boardwalk. There are applications for the food truck interested vendors, and we're expecting to see that project come online in 2024. An update on Bimini Square. It's a $55 million mixed-use project, waterfront restaurant, retail and professional space, 5.5 acre site. We're expecting the groundbreaking for this highly anticipated project in September. And Cape Coral Grove is a new project that we've been talking about. The developer is proposing to provide mixed-use retail shops, restaurants, a boutique hotel. We're looking at this as a destination space in our northwest part of Cape Coral. It will be rolled out in a few phases. So the first phase is residential. They have started the infrastructure for that. Residential will be coming online in fall of 2023. 350 units is expected to be located in this project. And the phase 3 will consist of commercial and retail. We already have 30 letters of intent, and I'm very excited to see this project happening. And I wanted to talk to you about some of our business assistance programs that we've recently announced in the CRA area, which is kind of our entertainment district. I talked to you about breaking barriers to business previously. We announced the program, really wanted to get some interest generated. We now have those applications available online on our city website. And we've recently announced a new demolition incentive program where we will provide incentives as grants to property owners who would like to demolish their properties. The city is also offering a cooperative agreement to work with property owners where we will take on the full responsibility of demolition and making that site ready for development. So very excited to see that happening and making way for new additional development downtown. And we have had a series of business and industry roundtable meetings. This coming roundtable will be held August 18th, and we'll be meeting with the marine industry. And we are taking on the study for a new parking management plan. You'll see that there is a QR code if anyone's interested in Looking into the site and finding out more, we're also looking for some engagement from residents and businesses so that they can provide their input as we move forward with the plan. And we had a groundbreaking for our fire training facility, a 3-story training tower. It will serve with the opportunities for live fire training with a smoke room, 2-acre training area, classroom and administration building. We believe that this is something that will service the area, not only Cape Coral firefighters, but it will be a center available for other communities as well. We're expecting completion of this project in late 2024. And an update for the Cape Coral Quest app. We now have 3,500 people who've signed up. 6,300 locations have been checked. 82 Sunsplash season passes awarded. That is for everyone who goes through the full Cape Quest app and the locations. 136 people have been added to the contest for the West End stay. There is a number for how many check-ins that are required in order to qualify for that, so that's kind of our grand prize. We've had 400 prizes claimed and 149 coupons redeemed. And I wanted to give you a highlight of our spectacular Red, White, and Boom that's highly utilized. And so I wanted to play the video, and I did not check to see how we do that. What do I need to do for the video? Okay, so I'm going to wrap it up with a little video of our Red, White, and Boom. Thank you. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other municipalities to be heard? Seeing none, we will move to the report of the Executive Director, Tamara Pygott.
Sir, bed tax collection report. I'll be sharing both May and June data with you. For May, bed tax collection was $2.27 million. That's down about 49% from previous May. June, $2.4 million, also down about 49% from the previous June. For fiscal year to date, this would be October through June, so 3/4 of the year, we're at $30.1 million, a decline of about 46%. Star report for May, occupancy was up a bit at 68.9%. ADR, of course, down 144.89, and for RevPAR of just under $100, a decrease of 9%. In June, occupancy was up 2.6%. ADR down 1.5 at 134, almost 135, and then a RevPAR of about $90, down 11%. In terms of the vacation rentals, the information from Key Data Dashboard is giving us an occupancy of 35%, ADR at $69, and a RevPAR at $24. And for June, 21%, $180 on the ADR, and a RevPAR of $37. In terms of traffic at the airport, May saw 760,000 passengers. That's a decrease of about 9%. And then in June, 643,000 passengers through the airport, a decline of only 3%. And for the calendar year to date, they're at just under 5.5 million passengers, a decline of about 15% compared to this time last year. Nick, may I show that slide that has the hotel counts? Put together this slide for you. Wanted you to see, first, the good news. We've crossed the 10,000 rooms open mark. This was as of our count on August 2nd. And it's great to be able to say we have more than 10,000 rooms open. But I do want to point out that, as we all know, the coastal areas have a very small number of rooms open. And of course, that is why you're seeing that inordinate impact on our bed tax collection as well. This time of year, those units would be getting, a considerably higher rate than our inland properties for the most part, and you would see that ADR average come up. But we are keeping close track of this, and going forward, I'll share this with you every month at TDC, so you have it. But I think seeing it this way brings it home a little bit more, by area. And in fairness, it's not perfect. Summerlin Square is included in Fort Myers Beach. That's the way the mailing addresses are. So it's not literally all of those 608 units aren't exactly on the white sandy beach, but directionally it's all correct, and I think you get a pretty good feel for where we are and what's going on. So I'll share that with you every month going forward. I also want to tell you, I want to reintroduce someone I introduced about a year ago. Vanessa Gomez was an intern with us for a year, and now we welcome her to our staff full time. Hats off to the programs. We have always had great interns, but occasionally we have one so good we can't let them go, and Vanessa falls into that category. So please welcome Vanessa. Vanessa is a native of Lee County, born and raised in Cape Coral, and a graduate of Ida Baker High School, and of course FGCU. We're thrilled to have her on our marketing team. So. And before we have the department directors give their report, a couple of months ago, we talked about Tony's big honor of being inducted into the Florida Tourism Hall of Fame, which of course is happening next month at the Governor's Conference, which we're thrilled about. But we have another high honor. Our colleague Brian Kramer was chosen as GM of the Year by the American Hotel Lodging Association, and so we have a little video we're going to play of Brian's being honored at I guess it was the annual conference for AHLA. Yeah. So let's show us our GM of the year. No, we're going to watch it, Brian.
Hospitality has been a passion of mine since as long as I can remember. Being able to work with people from all different backgrounds and walks of life, meeting people from all over the world is something that you just can't ever grow old from.
Brian is an excellent general manager in the sense that he is always willing to step in wherever he's needed in the hotel. Our motto here at Hyatt is we care for people so we can be their best. And that shows proof through Brian. And it's not just caring for people in this hotel, it's caring for those within our community.
We get involved with a lot of local charities, from Habitat for Humanity to get involved in those schools. I currently serve as the chairman of the resort school over at Florida Gulf Coast University.
He really cares about those kids. He wants them to be the next generation of great hoteliers. And last year during Hurricane Ian, he was cool and calm the whole time. He never once stopped and said, we got to feel sorry for ourselves.
Originally, it wasn't supposed to hit this area, and then all of a sudden, at the last minute, it jogged. That's all it takes for it to start
So, so Brian, I know that's the official video, but I want to show you my video that tells me why you're GM of the Year. So this is a little longer ago, but Brian was celebrating with his housekeeping staff for National Housekeeping Week, and they posted this video of him dancing with them, and it just tells you everything you need to know about Brian as a leader. And so, Brian, you can whip it, buddy, and congratulations from me, but also from everyone here. That's really fantastic, and a real honor for you and our community as a whole. All right, Miriam, would you please share with us? In your packet is the full communications report. Unfortunately, Ray couldn't be here with us today, but I did want Miriam to introduce our Savor the Shore effort. This is a joint project between our marketing team and the communications team. And Miriam, why don't you take it away?
Yeah. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Council. I'm Miriam Dotson with the communications team, and I am here to talk about a combined marketing and communications effort on behalf of restaurants and businesses affected by Hurricane Ian. It's called Savor the Shore. Savor the Shore is a special advocacy campaign we created to highlight the unique dining and diverse dining opportunities available in our community, especially focusing on the coastal communities. And this is also designed to encourage locals to go out and experience what our visitors travel thousands of miles to enjoy. So typically we target visitors outside the area. This time around we wanted to talk directly to the resident and those who live here. So we are proud to be working alongside the marketing team, who has been incredibly creative and amazing at helping to tell the community about the Savor the Shore awareness campaign, And you can see some of the examples on the screen right there. It includes local ad buys in print and online media, as well as radio and social media placements. So from seafood on the beach to barbecue on the Cape, Lee County definitely has it all. And it is important that we continue to remind the resident how critical they are in this recovery process, and to continue to let them know what is available to them. So we've had the chance to go out and about. I have personally, which has been very nice. The campaign kicked off at the end of last month, and we worked closely with the county communications team to release all of this information, which has resulted in a very robust response and outstanding coverage, not only locally, but regionally as well, we should mention. So this here is a photo with an interview with a local ABC7 station where we also shared some video and a graphic similar to the one you just saw on your screen there to promote Savor the Shore. This gives a chance to talk about it more conversationally and talk to journalists who are here in the area. We also talk to journalists who are outside of the area, but these journalists are ones who also live here, so that also makes a little bit of a difference when talking about it locally. So we received print and online coverage with TV stations as far away as Tampa picking it up. The campaign received more coverage following the approval of the tolls being waived this past weekend. So we do county commissioners and leadership for helping to push that through. It was also another chance to talk about Savor the Shore and continue to tell our story. So as I mentioned, the results have been outstanding, and the response has been overwhelmingly positive, which is incredibly important to note here. So we expect to see this continue, and we'll find more opportunities to promote Savor the Shore. And what's been great on my side is I've been able to get out to the local community. I showed the ABC7 slide, but we also talked to other local stations, Wink and Fox as well, and did other interviews. And I have to say it's been incredibly beneficial. My conversations with them have led to more conversations, more story ideas, and another way to promote our area. And they continue to want to keep finding out more things and ways that they can continue to cover this. So I don't think this is going to be a one-time coverage point. We will see this covered throughout the next few weeks and months to come. So we're looking forward to keep talking to our local journalist about that. So happy to take any questions or any notes.
Thank you, Miriam.
Thank you.
Any questions for Miriam? All right. And, what I love is when Miriam met with the TV stations, they're talking about, we could feature some restaurants. So they're, it's growing its own legs with them. And I think that's the real value in this.
Right. And we'll help coordinate.
Kind of brought it to everyone's attention, and now they're just jumping on board.
Yeah. Great.
All right. Thank you, Miriam. Now I'd like to welcome Jill Vance and eventually Charm Evans to give the sales report, both domestic and international.
Good morning, Council. Just adjust this. I'm Jill Vance, Director of Sales, and I am happy to report that as of the end of June, we've already attained 2 of our sales goals and are ahead of pace for the remainder. And I just want to point out that our meeting leads sent so far this year have already exceeded not only our annual goal, but also the number of meeting leads sent for the entire fiscal year of 2019, which was pre-COVID, which was a decent year. So needless to say, we're having a strong year. Also, wedding leads have finally picked up thanks to some great media buys that I'll share with you shortly. Group media, here are just a few examples from last quarter. For meetings media, here's some virtual tours that we launched with Convention South. This was a 4-month media buy on Convention South's website, and the featured meeting properties were rotated each month. For our travel trade media, in May, we featured a full-page advertorial in Travel Weekly's digital guide on summer escapes. A variety of different neighborhoods and experiences were featured, and this digital guide delivered over 4,000 page views, outperforming the benchmark of 3,500. And our weddings media. So here is a digital display ad with The Knot. This high-impact ad is called an avalanche unit. And as you can see, it's very interactive. I could tell the day this ad went live at the end of April because our wedding leads really picked up. In fact, we sent 2.5 times more wedding leads in the month of May than any previous month since Hurricane Ian. Here are some of our group sales team's activities for last quarter. On top is Jerry and Betsy with Sandra from the Western Cape Coral and Meeting Planners at the Helms-Briscoe Annual Business Conference. For those of you who don't know, Helms-Briscoe is our top producing third-party planning company. And this was a 2-day reverse trade show with over 1,300 attendees. In addition to one-on-one appointments and networking events, we also conducted a client event for 25 meeting planners who specifically had business in Florida. Also, our marketing department geofenced this show and delivered display ads to attendees during the conference and for 1 month following the conference. The click-through rate on these ads were 4 times higher than the benchmark. Bottom line, so far RFPs totaling almost 3,000 room nights have already been sent to our hotel partners as a direct result of this show. Some travel trade activities for last quarter, I just want to highlight one. Here's Jennifer with a travel advisor at the Global Travel Marketplace. And this was a new show for us. Jen conducted almost 50 one-on-one appointments and attended networking events. And she's already completed a personalized destination training for one of the agencies and is finalizing several others. Next, the upcoming activities for the domestic sales team. For August, I just want to highlight that even as we speak, Aaron is a preferred vendor at the Kellen Companies Manager Summit. Kellen is an association management company for over 125 associations worldwide. There are 300 plus association professionals, plan meetings, and conferences. So Aaron is conducting one-on-one appointments to earn new association business for the destination. Also next week, we are the host destination for Destination Southeast Meeting Planner Show. The Western Cape Coral Resort is the conference host hotel, and also Aaron will be conducting a post-FAM tour for select meeting of which the Luminary will be hosting their guest rooms. And finally, for September, Jennifer will be attending the Delta Vacations University Trade Show. So Delta Vacations is the official vacation provider for Delta Airlines, and over 2,000 of their highest producing travel advisors will be in attendance. So this is a great place for us to continue to get the word out of everything. Evans will update you on our international activities.
Motion for Jill? Thank you, Jill.
Thank you. Good morning, Charm Evans, VCB's Global Sales Manager, reporting on the international activities for the period of April through June. The VCB has continued to engage with the international travel trade and consumers through a variety of digital and print marketing, as well as some social media activities. We continue to tell the destination story of recovery in our core international markets by participating in online training platforms and face-to-face office visits. We've participated in the following travel trade events as well. U.S. Travel Association's IPW, which took place May 20th through the 23rd in San Antonio, Texas. IPW is the largest inbound travel industry show held in the U.S. During the course of 3 days, we held 122 pre-scheduled meetings with buyers of travel and travel promotion companies, booth space with the VCB. In addition to the meetings, we hosted a press conference which focused on the destination's recovery efforts. This was open to all attending media delegates, and the team received positive feedback from those press attendees, proving that it is still important to continue telling our story of recovery. In addition to IPW, our VCB in-market representatives attended Visit Florida in Eurowings Roadshow across 5 German cities, as well as hosted 2 Discover American workshops in Sweden and Finland, and we attended the Society of Incentive Travel Executives Summer Social event that was held in Toronto, Canada, with over 100 meeting, corporate, and incentive planners. In June, I visited Toronto to participate with our Canadian-based representative and attended the Travel Marketplace Trade Show with travel advisors. During the week, we also held destination update meetings with various Canadian travel trade to discuss marketing and promotional partnerships. Our goal is always to stay top of mind in our markets. Finally, I would like to share a campaign that's currently running on the German website Urlaubspiraten, which translates to Holiday Pirates. They are an OTA that offers low-cost packages deals, and they wanted something in addition to their Miami and Florida products. The campaign is a result from our meetings at last year's IPW, as well as ITB Berlin that was held in March of this year. It includes a destination-focused landing page and offers information on various neighborhoods, nature, cultural activities, and delicious cuisine of our region. There's also a standalone newsletter and social media element consisting of Facebook posts, Instagram reels, and stories to keep the engagement going. We incorporated some fly and drive deal offerings that were available, partnering the Eurowing Discover direct flight from Frankfurt to RSW with rental car options. The last deal posted on the 7th of this month. In addition to that, this campaign runtime began in mid-July, and the final deal will remain live for 2 additional weeks. Looking ahead, we will be hosting 2 travel advisor dinner events in Denmark and Sweden, and we're also excited to be partnering with Eurowings Discover and Visit Tampa Bay as we welcome back international fam tours by hosting the Travel Advisor Scandinavian group at the end of this month. In September, we will be attending Air Canada Vacations annual showcase, Visit USA Germany's Cinema Roadshow, and Canusa's 50th anniversary event. Canusa is a leading German tour operator that specializes in trips to the U.S. and Canada. That concludes my report. Please let me know if you have any questions. Yes?
I do. Appreciate the report. Do you have any feel when you go to these conferences, what kind of feedback are you getting on the conditions Southwest Florida that seem aware of the storm overseas, and if so, has it improved since, I guess, from the earlier trips you might have made to now?
Yeah, it's actually really interesting because some people still aren't aware that we had a storm, and those that are, they think that everything's fine now. They still don't really understand that we're experiencing a bit of recovery, and that's why we continue to educate and discuss them on the status of the destination. So it's kind of mixed.
I think it's a challenge, Rob, particularly because most of those relationships were with coastal properties, right? You know, those international tour operators were carrying those coastal properties, and you saw the coastal numbers.
Yeah.
So they're, you know, they need constant updating on what's the status. You know, I probably have gotten, I don't know, 50 emails. When will the outrigger be back online? You know, those are the kind of questions we're getting from people. And so It's a little bit of education. I mean, we're on that delicate line between walking past this situation, but also recognizing some areas of our community are still in a very heavy recovery mode, and so it is delicate.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you.
Right. Simone?
Good morning, Council. I'm Simone Baer, Director of Visitor Services. I'm happy to report to you on what Visitor Services has been up to for the third quarter, which is April through June. During that time period, our volunteers assisted 78,983 visitors. They worked 6,244 hours at a value of $194,097. They also participated in 4 special projects and conferences. The top requests they had airport. Top attractions, aside from the beaches, was the Edison Home, Ding Darling, and the 6 Mile Cypress Slough. The top activities were hiking, shopping, and attending festivals. They also helped at various community and partner events, such as the Fine Mark Pro Tennis Championship at Bonita Bay, the U.S. Sports Karate at Estero Rec Center, and conferences taking place at Calusa Sound, as well as the Hyatt Regency. Visitor Services staff and volunteers participated in the Port Authority's mass casualty incident exercise. In April, we were able to celebrate our volunteers at the annual Tourism Ambassador Appreciation Luncheon at the West End, and we thank so many of you were there celebrating with us, and we really appreciated that. The Port Authority rolled out the Hidden Disabilities Sunflower Program last month. Some of you might have heard about it. It is for individuals with hidden disabilities. They can voluntarily wear a lanyard to identify themselves, indicating that they might need a little bit of extra help at the airport, some kindness, some patience. All of our volunteers have been trained, as well as the staff, and this program is available at over 200 airports worldwide. And the location where anyone can pick up the lanyard is at our visitor information booth 7 days a week. So we're really happy to be part of this awesome program. We had a few special projects. First week in May was National Travel and Tourism Week, where we posted unique social media posts every single day. And we had the dolphin and manatee make an appearance at RSW in celebration of this week. In June, we celebrated National Seashell Day, also with the dolphin and manatee making an appearance, and volunteers were handing out shell necklaces. Volunteers attended 2 destination education training sessions. One was a behind-the-scenes airport tour, and the other one was at the Drury Inn, and thank you to our hosts. We also had to roll out Project Cookie, and for those of you who might not be aware of Project Cookie, it is we literally put together cookies on trays during times when there might be flight delays or issues at the airport, and our volunteers will walk up and down the line with trays of cookie, and it's amazing what a cookie can do in times of stress. It does ease the stress a little bit, we find. Looking ahead, we're very, very excited to be hosting the 23rd annual Elaine McLaughlin Outstanding Hospitality Service Awards, the E-Awards, taking place at the West End on August 24th, 2 weeks from today. We hope that you can all be there so we can recognize individuals who have really, really gone above and beyond. We have a record number of 500 nominees this year. We also have a special Hurricane Hero category that we will be recognizing those that did their part right after the hurricane. You'll see your invitations right in front of you, and I am taking RSVPs this morning if you want to let me know. We really hope that you'll all be able to be there. That's it for me, unless there are any questions that I'm happy to answer.
Yeah. Thank you, Simone. We're very excited about the E-Awards. A big number of nominees, so and get your you might need to bring a handkerchief or two, just warning you. Sometimes it goes that way. Now I'd like to welcome up Joseph St. Germain from Down St. Germain to give us our research report for the second quarter of the year.
Excuse me. Thank you very much, Tamara. Again, my name is Joseph St. Germain. I'm the president of Downs and St. Germain Research. As always, we're going to give an overview of the full report. The full report is much longer. And one of the other things is, as Tamara just mentioned, this is going to focus on April through June. So like when you see things like I enjoyed the weather, again, this isn't like right now where we're walking on the heat of the sun. So just a note, just to give you a sense of timing here. Before I get to the data points, let's give you kind of the overview of the story. One of the things is the numbers are down, due to the remnants of the hurricane, but also that's a trend we're seeing throughout the state of Florida, not just Southwest Florida, Northwest. There's a lot of normalization across, as we have seen in April through June and into the summer. A lot of domestic visitors, frankly, are going abroad, and we're not getting as many of them back here in the United States. So that's one of the things that we're seeing. The beach is still your number one draw, but it isn't as important as it was in previous quarters. And then also we're seeing a lot more people staying in inland, as you saw that hotel breakdown. And also a higher percentage are coming to visit their friends and relatives and things of that nature. You do have a higher percentage of your visitors who are coming international. However, it is still down from a numeric perspective year over year. And year like visitor behavior, your visit behaviors aren't that different. There's just fewer of them. So I think that's your overall story as we look through it. So I'll start going into the overall numbers that kind of help bring that story to life. If you have any questions. As always, we start with this snapshot of what the numbers are looking like. Visitors are down nearly 50%. Visitor days are a little bit higher because they're spending more time while in market. Room nights were down about 40%. Direct expenditures down 43%. That largely is in line with the TDT figures that Tamara mentioned a few minutes ago. As we look at the overall lodging statistics, occupancy, we down 23%, ADR 28, and RevPAR nearly 45%. As we saw those breakdowns from hotels and vacation rentals, as we've noticed, a lot of that is more driven by vacation rentals than it is by hotels. The hotels are faring a little bit better. Year to date is a similar story. Visitation days, room nights, direct spending down around that 40% figure overall as we talk about the year to date. So those are your figures. Let's just talk about some of the visitor tracking. Again, I'm not going to go through every data point, and I'm not going to show everything in there. But overall, we have seen about 1 in 3 of your visitors are planning their trip about 1 to 2 months in advance. But the average trip planning cycle is about 3 months. So that includes a lot of your paid accommodations, things of that nature. One of the things that we've noticed is more people are considering other destinations before coming here. So almost 30% of your visitors who visited here considered other destinations. That also some people who considered other destinations and went to those destinations that are not in this report. And that's part of that overall normalization that we're seeing across the state of Florida. Why are they coming? It's still to relax. It's still the beach and your friends and relatives. That's still the top. It's just the beach is not as high as we've seen in normal in previous years. Overall, recall of promotions is still fairly strong. Over 40% recalled promotions. I do want to note that is recall of promotions, not just exposure. So these are people not only saw it, but remembered it. And basically half of those who saw those, they said it influenced their visit. So 1 in 5 of all your visitors were influenced by some sort of messaging that they saw. Where they potentially on the internet, about half, a third on social media, but also significant percentages are seeing on travel reviews and blogs and television. Now, television's always a little bit squirrely. That doesn't mean not just cable, it also is streaming. It's also some people, if they watch YouTube, they're calling that television. That's a squirrely definition, but just to give you a sense of, anytime I see television, I will say, just think that they saw a video on the screen. That's another way to think about it. In terms of booking, about 2/5 of your visitors who are staying in paid are booking direct, but that means a significant percentages are using VRBO, Airbnb, your OTAs, vacation rental companies. So they're not just booking direct. There's a variety of different locations that they're booking their booking their accommodations. You still have about 2/3 of your visitors flying to the destination. Even though we see visitors, overall visitation down, we saw those airport numbers are still fairly strong given everything that we've seen. And as you can imagine, most of your visitors, if they're flying here, they're flying directly into RSW. Some are going to other areas, but most are flying into RSW. Just a bit on the profile. Where they're coming from hasn't changed that much. However, we have seen, again, by percentage-wise, a return to international. And frankly, Canada is doing a lot of the heavy lifting there. We've not only seen that here, we've seen that in other destinations in Southwest Florida. You do have some international markets, but Europe has been slower to come back. Couple reasons there. One of the largest is the economy over there, and the dollar's a little bit stronger. So we're hoping to see that return, but right now, as I mentioned earlier, we have a lot more people leaving the country for vacation than they are. Give you a sense of that. But here's your breakdown of where your visitors are coming from. By the Midwest is still your strength, and you can kind of see that in some of these markets. The top markets are kind of a lot of your usual suspects: New York, Atlanta, Chicago, DC, Boston, Minneapolis, and Detroit were your top markets for April through June. Travel party size, about 2.8. 1 in 3 are traveling. You have most people traveling with a family or as a couple. In terms of the experience themselves, they're staying in hotels and condos, but also significant percentages, as I mentioned, in personal second homes or with their friends and relatives. They're staying about 6.1 nights. 30% were first-time visitors. That's a little bit lower, but that tends to go hand in hand. If we have more friends and relatives, they're less likely to be coming for the first time. And about 1 in 5 have visited this area more than 10 times. Activities similar to what we saw and why they're coming. They're eating out, but they're relaxing, the beach, visiting friends and relatives, and shopping. The top attractions visited are really in line with what we just saw in some of the visitor center numbers. They're looking for the beaches. They're looking for shopping. Edison and Florida States were at the top, as we saw. So, and where they're staying, in previous years, it's a lot of the coast. And then we saw that hotel breakdown. As you can imagine, a lot of the folks are staying in Fort Myers, Cape Coral, Bonita Springs, things of that nature. And then finally, how are we doing? This is one of the things that I found most interesting, given that how things have changed year over year. The likelihood to recommend the area is slightly down year over year. However, likelihood to return is still about the same. That didn't change despite what we've seen from the hurricane. And satisfaction is still fairly strong. You still have 94% satisfied with their visit, 93% satisfied with customer service, and 93% meeting your expectations. So while visitation's down, likelihood to recommend is down a little bit, holding strong on likelihood to return and satisfaction. Frankly, all things considered, we would consider a win. When you're comparing yourself to a year ago that wasn't dealing with this hurricane. So that's where we are from satisfaction. The concerns, traffic, I think I get to say that. I don't get to say that. I say that about once a quarter. Traffic's always a number one concern. But 1 in 4 did mention the damage that they're still seeing. So that still is a part of the trip. But still, 1 in 4 had no concerns at all. And finally, some area descriptions. I won't read all of these, but they focus on the weather. Again, for April through June, they focus on the weather being a positive. It's peaceful, relaxing, a safe destination. Safety keeps coming up as an important thing, and it comes up as something you are strong on. And I'll just finish on this one, for the visitor tracking portion, one last quote, hopefully to manifest some nice weather. Tremendous vacation with near perfect weather, warm days, cool nights, as well as a relaxing and peaceful vibe. Again, that's a quote from your April through June visitor. And finally, your barometer. July through September reservations, we've reached out to local accommodation folks. You have some who are up, more are down year over year. As we look ahead 6 months, this is going to be the first time we get to compare to another hurricane influenced time period That is up from October through December of last year. At the same time, that's likely to be expected, as that was the initial hurricane. We still have, ultimately, that probably isn't news to you. We still got some work to do, but we still have some positive things as we move forward. Particularly, I do want to hit again, those satisfaction metrics, given that you're compared to a time that didn't have hurricane, keeping those flat is a really positive thing overall. That's a whistle-stop tour through April through June, but I do want to see if there's any questions for me before I sit down.
I have a question, and Tam, it may be as much for you. So on that slide with the different percentages, depending on where you were, was it Sanibel only had like 2.3% of accommodations back online?
Back to the slide of the hotels, Nick, if you don't mind.
And while you're pulling it up, I guess the question would be.
Yes, you're correct.
So I don't even know if it's possible. Would it be possible? Should we try to reach out to some people and see, is there any forecasting on when some of those properties will come back online from some of those big areas that we rely so heavily on? Sanibel being the first one, but there's others that are, Fort Myers Beach as well, and Captiva.
I'll be honest, we've been having a lot of these conversations, but I think there's still a lot to be determined. So I'll use the Outrigger as an example. It just recently closed. And so the new ownership of that property has been in the paper of late. And, they're still determining what kind of product they're going to put on that site. So until those things are announced, it's really tricky. But, my guess is, even that property as an example, they're saying, 2 years of construction. We're years, I think, from seeing our coastal properties, seeing those numbers look like what you see in the other areas. I think you're probably 2 to 3 years away.
Yeah, I think that's accurate.
And I have had some and this is, we don't just call them and say, how many rooms do you have open? We're digging a little bit and getting information. I do know that there are some properties on Sanibel that are going to try to be open to start the new year, some that can. I think there are others that thought they might open in Q1 that might open in Q2, some condo properties. But, we have to be very realistic. It is slow going. It is a slow-going process, and we are really, really constrained by supply chain issues. Elevator parts and pool pumps and electrical equipment, switch controls, and, I think Bill probably could speak to it. I know he's been having a lot of conversations with his colleagues on the beach. And, it's...
Then you take the ones that are trying to just rebuild right now, and this is not a shot to the municipality involved, but the permit process right now is a nightmare. It is a nightmare right now, and it's just the mass of people trying to get through. So that is slowing the pace down. So, and then you have insurance dollars that a lot of these businesses are still waiting for, and switchgear and elevator parts are the biggest challenge. I mean, switchgear is, if you didn't order it already, it's 18 months to 24 months for switchgear. Elevator parts is in that 1 year range. So all of that, and then obviously, if your insurance dollars didn't cover it, financing right now, even tough.
Yep.
I think optimistically before I was in the Conway, I'll be up in the next year to 2 years. Unfortunately, I think you're going to have a group of hotels. I think that those percentages, you add the 3 islands, it's like 14%. So, we're going to be at a 1 year mark here soon. So is that, it probably gets close to
And in terms of hotel construction, I mean, there's some inland hotel construction. Of course, Margaritaville's scheduled to open, we believe, by the end of this year, certainly by the first quarter of 24. That's your coastal property that will open in the near future. We have 7 or 6 other properties under construction at this time, primarily along I-75, though there is the Hampton Inn right here near downtown Fort Myers on McGregor there that's about to open, we think, by the Q4 of this year. It seems like that one seems to be moving very slowly. I'm assuming it's some of the same challenges we're talking about.
Yeah, the only plus right now I see is that the housing market's slowed down. Contractor availability is a lot better in getting those workers.
But the
just a shout out to the EB. I mean, doing the safer program. I mean, take Santa. You got 3% of hotels and 28 restaurants open.
I think it's 30 now.
You got to have programs like that to be able to help get everybody through the summer time.
And about 1,500 residents living on the island compared to 6,000 or 6,500 normally. So, yeah, these businesses are challenged. Yes.
I think it's going to be hard to, we all know that we've seen credit tax collections go way down, and we know why. Part of this is not having the accountability here. I think it's going to be hard to pinpoint how much of that is due to lack of availability and how much of it is due to other economic reasons why they're down. What we're seeing is very much supportive of what you talked about in international markets, that within Hyatt, I listen in on Hyatt earnings calls, I listen on Caroline's earnings calls, and every one that I've listened in on is all talking about how the international market outbound has exploded. Domestic travel is down. Just about any airline that is focused primarily domestically has been downgraded by the analysts to sell, and anyone that's got exposure to international has been upgraded to buy.
Yep.
And they're seeing all the international travel going out. They're seeing Hyatt, all of our Hyatts internationally are experiencing a tremendous boom, and all of our Hyatts domestically are seeing a very big slowdown in transient travel, leisure travel. Everybody's going overseas. And if you look at overseas market, what we're hearing there is that there's reasons that those people aren't necessarily coming here because they have more opportunity now, say, to go further east, and then like China and heading back to places where they haven't been able to go for the last few years. And so now they're exploring other markets to go out. So we're not seeing that inbound traffic coming back in this way. So we're seeing a boom in those areas of the world as well, because that travel is kind of shifting that way. And it's been, we feel, Hyatt at least, that with, if you go online right now and look to book an international trip, and you look at the cost of the airfare, and you look at the cost of the hotel rooms, they're experiencing what we experienced, right after we were
Absolutely.
with COVID-19. It's $800, $900 a night for a hotel room, and airfare is 3 times as much as what we do travel within the United States domestically. And I think that eventually will wear its course, where people will take that one-time trip now, go over, be not afraid to spend so much money on this trip, but then when it's done, come back and start saying, well, maybe next time we got to stay over because it's getting expensive. So we see that we believe there's going to be a cycle back to a lot of domestic travel, but we're in a period right now, and a lot of these trips are planned. When you plan an international trip, you're not planning it for next month. So they're planning for the next year. So we think it's going to cycle through, but it's going to take a little bit of time for it to cycle through before we start seeing both international travel coming back to the United States and people that are going out of the country now deciding, well, let me start looking locally and substitution.
Joseph and I were having this conversation about U.S. citizens requesting passports is through the roof.
Yep.
And I'm anxious because I just set mine in for renewal, and I'm like, please let it come in time for my October trip, business trip.
Yeah, those passports going out were all-time records, and then also visas coming in. There's massive delays there as well. So it's like there's so many, and then on top of all that, when I mentioned Florida, in some of the conversations I had with Tam and other folks around, when something happens in Florida, like the leprosy story, especially international, like that. The whole state gets hard with it. So it's like there's always something, and all these little things, even if there's like 20 things that are moving the needle 1 or 2%, but that can make huge differences over time.
Yep. Just to add a little bit to that, I think that, we knew this in 21 and 22. We were experiencing the rebound, the revenge travel, as they called it, I got to get out. I've been in the house. I've been constrained too much. And we knew we were benefiting. We saw those bed tax collections soar. And so even sometimes when I look at the numbers, I'm like, is it fair to compare these numbers to 21 and 22? 2019 is probably a better comparison, realistically. But, we haven't had a normal year since really, quite frankly, 2017. No year has been normal. So it's, it is challenging. But Rob, just to kind of lean back on your question, I mean, I think we, we have a row, we got a hoe, and we have a long way to go in terms of our coastal properties. But you see the other areas are pretty much, almost at 100%. And like even Fort Myers, there are two those rooms that are closed, that 6%, it's two properties that have undergone a sale, and some kind of transition is going on there. So, in essence, Fort Myers, Cape Coral, Bonita Springs, Boca Grande, Lehigh, they're at 100%, and our coastal communities will come along, and we are going to do our best to talk up what we have, and I think in all honesty, the occupancy has been, it is tricky. People think of us as a coastal community, and that's their expectation when they come here, but the satisfaction numbers, the information we're getting back, the fact that they want to come back, I think it's still strong for our community. And, we're going to keep going forward with what we've got.
Another small thing I noticed in the numbers, and it may be a reporting issue with individual homeowners that have put their homes in rental programs, and maybe they haven't pulled them off and shown them, but you've got this weird thing where you've got the hotels that are online, or it would make sense they might have a little more occupancy than hotels that were than they had in the past. So they're having a 2 to 3% increase. Probably a lot of people displaced from hotels that are offline. But the individual rental homes, they're showing a decrease of 20-some%. Is there any tracking there?
This is the hardest thing to get your arms around for us, vacation rentals. Unless the community itself is collecting, that data, requiring some kind of permit and to know, but is it available today? Maybe. Is it available tomorrow? Maybe. The variation, it's very different than a hotel room. You open a hotel, almost every room in that hotel is available every single day. Now you might take 10 rooms offline to renovate, but for the most part you're keeping those rooms open. With vacation rentals, it's the owner's using it a month a year or 6 months a year and renting it out 6 months a year. But the best tracking mechanism we have is key data, and definitely those numbers are off. I do still believe a lot of those units are on the register as being available, but they're technically not available. And that creates, I think, some of this low occupancy there. They're undergoing renovation and having all the same challenges that each one of our coastal properties are having as they do these renovations. And, I can tell you I have a few little projects at my house that you can't get somebody to do a little project. So, it's slowing down getting those units back online as well. So, yes. And kudos to your sales team and our sales team collectively really pushing as hard as we can. And, don't kid yourself. We're getting a little bit of the, yes, we want to help out the Fort Myers area. We know the challenges that community's gone through, and we can't wait to bring a group to you. We're looking for the right group. No harm in taking advantage of that, and we're trying to do that. And, our group effort is stronger than it's ever been because we know it's so important. And the great thing about they come for a group event, they see that the area is in good shape, and they're willing to tell their friends and family, hey, let's go there on a leisure. And we're seeing that. Same with the sports. They come here for a sporting event, and they want to come back on a leisure vacation. So getting them here is the key, for sure. All right. Thank you, Joseph.
Thank you very much, as always.
And with that, sir, I'm going to say I'm done.
Thank you. Thank you for the discussion, everybody. Now moving on to the report of the Sports Development Director, Jeff Milkey. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair, and good morning, Council. Today we're going to go through a few months for you, April, May, and June. Mostly good news. April, we hosted 5,800 hotel room nights, 7,500 sports visitors, $2.5 million direct spending from those visitors. Some events of note were Florida Half Century Softball, College Hockey Showcase, which was down at Hertz Arena, and AAU Volleyball. If you go to the historical slide, you will see we were down a little bit. Last year in 2022, we did host a huge USA open water swimming event on the beach, which moves around the United States. And we also had a bowling event in April that will come back in the future, but was missing. So going to May, a good month, 12,600 hotel room nights filled, 16,000 sports visitors in town, almost a $5 million direct visitor spend. Typically anchored by Memorial Day weekend, where we have numerous events like Perfect Game, Basketball Alliance State Championships were also Memorial Day weekend. We did proudly host once again, I think this was the 9th or 10th consecutive year, FHSAA's High School Baseball State Championships in partnership with the Twins and Mighty Muscles over at Hammond Stadium. So that's always just a great event for our community. Unfortunately, we didn't have any local teams in it this year, but nonetheless, great for our community. We sponsored the Fine Mark Women's Pro Tennis Championships. We also had a new event, Premier Ice Prospects. So if you go to the trend line, it looks pretty stark in the fact that we had this huge drop. But if you look at our historical numbers, it's one of the better months that we've had. What happened last year was we had a massive, large 500-team bowling event. It was the Florida Open. And we get that every few years. I think we had it back in 2015. And that when we have the Florida Open, that really that's 8 weekends of bowling, and we count it in May because that's when the bulk of it is. So with that not back this year, that was responsible for well over 4,000 room nights. So that's part of the drop. But what we're seeing, and I'll talk about it more at the end too, is as you guys have talked about what's the state of our community, we're seeing that a lot of our spring business, March, April, May, is state business. It's Florida. It's Florida families coming in. It's FYSA soccer. It's local basketball tournaments. They're not coming as much as we thought they would. We thought they would anchor our sports business. We thought we'd see a big drop in our out-of-state visitors, and it's exactly the opposite. The out-of-state visitors are still coming and participating in our bigger events. Our in-state visitation is down. And in fact, in May, we canceled 6 events that we normally have because the promoters simply could not get enough people to register. And they were mostly girls fast pitch softball, youth basketball, and some soccer. And so that contributes to that line not being as high as it should be. And And when we ask people, well, why can't you get anyone to register? They're like, they're just choosing other tournaments around the state of Florida because they've been to Fort Myers, they've been to Lee County, they know that they can't get on the beaches or they can't enjoy the typical amenities that are there, and so they're going to try somewhere else this year, but they'll be back. And so we're seeing, I think, a lull. I am very confident all of these in-state tournaments will bounce back, especially as everything starts to open back up, and the public perceives us as returning to normal. But for right now, a lot of these teams are deciding to choose a tournament in Sarasota or St. Pete Clearwater, or and again, the competition in the state of Florida for sports tours and business is fierce. So even though we did look like a significant drop, it's still in line with most of our average years. So, and then we go to June, a really good month, 22,000 hotel room nights. It's the most in our history, but I'll put an asterisk next to that here in the next slide. 21,000 sports visitors, $9 million direct visitor spend, anchored certainly by Perfect Game, which all of our summers are anchored by Perfect Game, almost 19,000 room nights from them. We're really doing some good stuff with All Ivy Futures Showcase. They're up to 3 events a year with us now. They stay at the Hyatt. They are a bunch of very high, it's almost like Perfect Game baseball, very high-end high school hockey players coming in, being scouted at Hertz Arena by Ivy League schools. So it's a great group. They run great hockey events, and they continue to expand with us. So if you go to the trend line, again, best June we've ever had, but I will say that a major Perfect Game event that is always in July moved into June. So that shot the June numbers way up. So it's a little bit of a false, we're thrilled to continue to have big numbers in June and July, but on this particular case, we kind of traded one for the other. So, but still a very, very good June, and anchored mostly by baseball, which continues to not have any drop in numbers, and they're all out of town and out of state teams, and man, they're just filling hotel rooms. So I also wanted to point out, as you all know, we have dabbled in the international sports space, especially for baseball and softball. The WBSC stands for the World Baseball and Softball Confederation. That is the international governing body for baseball and softball. Certainly trying to get baseball and softball back in the Olympics. They will not be in Paris, but they will be back in the LA Games. And we're very passionate about trying to make sure baseball and softball are an Olympic sport. We have gone over to Europe numerous times, promoting Lee County, promoting our destination. You'll remember a few years ago, Softball Canada brought their Olympic team here and trained for over 60 days, and then went to Tokyo and won the bronze medal, and gave some credit to Lee County for the amazing training opportunities they had. So this year we decided, in conversations with county leadership and Visitor and Convention Bureau, we put some money into, so Ireland called us and said, would you be willing to sponsor, we're hosting Group A in the Women's World Cup softball in just outside of Dublin, and would you all like to be a sponsor of that because of the presence that we have established in Europe, and we jumped at the chance. So if you go to the next slide, you'll see the logo on the outfield wall. This happens to be Chinese Taipei versus Australia. This was streamed internationally. I'm still waiting for the streaming numbers, but these are screen grabs from the live game as it was going on. So we got some really good presence. A lot of people who are fans of high-end women's fast-pitch softball saw this logo. Again, the destination. They put stickers on their batting helmets. I wish they would have been a little bit higher quality, but again, our logo's on their batting helmets every time they went up to the plate. Next slide, you'll see our logo back way in the kind of over the United States player's head. This was Great Britain versus USA. And so it was a great sponsorship. I ended up not being able to attend it, but Ludi Adorno with Parks and Recreation went on our behalf. She's kind of our softball guru. She had a great time, interacted with not only Ireland, who's as part of the trade-off in our sponsorship. We sponsored their event this year. We're partly sponsoring their youth academy, Girls Fast Pitch Youth Academy next year, where our logo will be on their uniforms. And then they have agreed to bring their national team to train in Lee County, much like Canada did, Australia's done, Germany's done, before 2026. So we not only are getting some tourism back out of it, but we're getting some international exposure. And Ludi had some great meetings. We met with USA Softball. We were there. They want to bring a men's slow pitch international event and split it between Polk County and Lee County. And then also met with the Ireland Minister of Sports, and he has a lot of information about different things that we might offer to Ireland. So again, Ireland, not sure how big of a travel market comes out of Ireland for us, but it was a good price point for us to jump in and see what the exposure might be. And again, when talking to county leadership, it was like we have to let people know we're back open for business, and so we thought this was a good way to do that. So before we take questions, just want to certainly thank some folks who've really had a hand in our summer. Starts with Parks and Recreation. I know Kathy's here. Kathy, please pass the thanks along to the group. This has been, I think, the hottest, most miserable summer we've probably ever had. And so in June alone, we had 8,000 participants and 13,000 spectators from out of our community, most of them sitting in the heat at baseball, softball events. And while they're sitting out there, our Parks and Rec staff is sitting out there too. And they're raking fields, and they're keeping our facilities looking great, and they're giving amazing customer service. And so I just want to say, as always, thank you to Parks and Rec team. Thank you to our athletics coordinators. Thank you to Tommy and our staff that's out there, making sure that there's touch points to our visitors, making sure that we have enough medical coverage. There was a lot more eyes on heat issues this year than we've ever had, so that was good. And Simone, thank you as always too for helping us with your staff at our karate and some of our other events. So, mentioning group business real quick, we do have 2 sports conventions this year. We have the USSSA, which is a big multi-sport organization that does mostly baseball, softball, and basketball. Their annual convention is this year at Sanibel Harbor Resort, and we also have the Senior Softball USA's national convention in December, and they bring their big winter national to us. So we have a couple sports conventions coming in. And finally, as you all know, we have some great college basketball products. The Gulf Coast Showcase, which Hertz Arena and at the Hyatt, and then we've got the Fort Myers Tip-Off. This year, as you all know, the Tip-Off has 5 different broadcasts on national TV. 4 of them are on FS1, but they've jumped into the women's program, and we just learned that Indiana versus Tennessee women, which is a big, both are huge programs. Indiana was ranked number 1 last year, are playing on Thanksgiving Day on Fox, on Big Fox. So Brian and I have met, and we're trying to figure out what our commercials are going to look like. We get 3 30-second destination spots to show the world that we're back open for business on Fox. It's in prime time, so everyone become women college basketball fans. So that's my report.
Thank you very much. Moving on to new business. Sorry.
Jeff, the sponsorship, what's that on?
15,000. So 15,000 for this year. Then we're giving them 10,000 next year for the Women's Youth Academy program, as well as the return to Fort Myers before 2026. So for $25,000 total dollars, we thought that was an excellent bond. It was a 6-day event. It had Great Britain, United States, Australia, Chinese Taipei, and Ireland. Ireland and one more. Nigeria was in it.
Mr. Fuller.
Ryanair, do they offer regular scheduled service into our hardest carrier here?
Yes, we know. Meet with them every time I'm in the UK and have good contacts there, but we do not have service yet.
Any reason why they...
International air services is a constant effort on our behalf, but they're going into the big cities in the U.S., as you can imagine. But yes, we're keenly aware and have some good relationships there. So always fingers crossed. I'll defer to Carol if she wants to speak to it, but we do have good contacts. Ryanair.
Any other comments, questions for Mr. Milkey? All right. Seeing none, moving on to new business. We do have quorum, which is great, and we have some action items in front of us, starting with third quarter FY23 budget report.
Good morning, everyone. I'm April Bonnet, your fiscal manager. Today I'll be providing an overview of the quarter 3 budget reports for the VCB operating, beach and shoreline, and sports development. First, we start off with the VCB operating, and currently we're pacing at 46% of budget. We continue to monitor the spending closely due to the decrease in revenue, cutting back in non-essential spending, with only an uptick in quarter 3 for advertising, promotion, and related expenditures. The next slide, we have the beach and shoreline operating budget, and currently we are pacing at 58% of the budget. And the next slide, we've got the sports development budget, and currently sports is pacing at 60% of budget. That concludes the overview of our budget and expenditures. I'm here to answer any questions.
Any questions? Can you go back a slide? Mr. Locke.
Just on the furniture, is that something we're holding back on? I see that we've only, according to budget, we were going to spend $235,000 or something.
Oh, is that one more slide?
One on the back. Yeah.
Back.
One more back. Okay. Bottom line, furniture and equipment, it's only 2%. I just wanted to be. Is that coming in still? Or?
It's a project that we were pursuing for visitor services at the airport, some kiosks, some electronic kiosks, touchscreen kiosks, that we've put on hold based on our budget situation, but we haven't given up on the idea. In fact, we're still having those conversations. But, anywhere that I could slow things down a little bit to try to match up to those revenue numbers. As I told you from the beginning, we won't be able to perfectly match it, but we're going to try to be judicious in our expenditures as we go through this. Yes, sir.
I guess my question would be similar, but relates to advertising, the sort of large number in there. We're at, what's that, 43%? 43%, and I'm assuming as time goes on, this will,
Will we spend it all?
Yes.
No, sir. We will not spend it all. Mainly because we didn't spend anything hardly in the first quarter. Mm-hmm. So, it didn't make, there's a time and a place to do that, and, the first reaction is, shut it down for a bit, and we needed to. And you all did this in your businesses as well, but you can see in Q2 and Q3 we have been spending. Obviously, Q4 is always our heaviest expenditure quarter for advertising, and we have a pretty robust summer campaign that you'll see bills coming in for in the fourth quarter. But no, sir, obviously, that's one area we can try to make those numbers work, to try to match up. And, we felt like, given that we were still at this, 70% level, it made more sense to save our powder for when we get a few more properties online and we can push a little harder. Not that we're not pushing this summer. We have been pushing very hard this summer. But, we, rather than spend even more this summer, we want to make sure that as properties come back online, that when we get into the new year, we're hitting on all cylinders. And it is our intent to spend our budget next year as we have budgeted it. But this year, we're going to try to be as judicious as we possibly can. Yeah, April, this is a constant ongoing conversation. I think we agreed with county administration we would budget for $33 million this year.
Correct.
I think we'll beat that $33 million. And that's, we were kind of going with 50% of what we collected last year. I knew Q1 and Q2 of the fiscal year would be a little bit better than Q3 and Q4. But I didn't know how bad Q4 might be. And I think we all knew the summer was going to be a big challenge. We've performed fairly well to this point. Let's see how this, we do have one more quarter to collect. But I think we're going to beat our 33 guess. It'll probably be 34, 35. We're not going to beat it by a lot. And then for next year, we budgeted $40 million. And that might be pushing it a little bit. I had, when we did the budget, and of course we're doing this almost 9 months out from when the budget actually kicks in. A lot of the properties were reporting Q1 openings, and now some of those same properties are reporting Q2 openings. So I may be a tiny bit optimistic on my $40 million for next year, but we'll see. And again, I'm trying to be responsible to you, do our jobs, promote the area, use the most effective marketing techniques and tools we can at the best cost, but also be responsible as a comparison to revenue too. And I know you got to spend some money to get some money. I get that. We're certainly doing that, but it is tricky. The good news is we have reserves.
Mr. Loppy?
I'll make a motion, if there's no more questions, to approve the third quarter.
Motion by Mr. Loppy, second.
I'll second that.
Mr. Johnson, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, formalization of FY 23-24 events marketing funding. Ms. McPhee.
McPhee Product Development. I'm going to present two items to you for approval this morning. Both are events and attraction marketing programs. And I want to thank the marketing subcommittee, council members Cronin, Johnson, Smith, and Allers participated in the review of over 45 funding requests during the last few months. The first before you is the events marketing program. For fiscal year 24, there's a budget of $200,000, and during their subcommittee workshop on June 8th, the subcommittee made recommendations for 9 events for a total of $177,950. There were 2 events that were not funded because of eligibility requirements. So that is the action before you, to approve 9 events at $177,950.
Any questions on that?
Can you roll it up so they can see? These are the events that we've recommended for funding.
Any questions, comments from Ms. McPhee on this? Okay. Can I entertain a motion? Anybody like to make a motion that we accept it? Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Wachula, second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Thank you. Now we're going to move to you're staying up there for the formalization of attractions marketing requests.
Yes. So I did want to mention that kudos to all of our attraction partners. Within 2 months of the storm, most of the ones that we work with on a regular basis were operating. So
In your spare time, please reach out and visit with these attractions. They work hard. We've raised the expectations of this program a lot in the last 2 years as far as measuring the advertising that you're funding for them. They work very hard to meet those requirements. So again, during this program has a budget of $600,000, and during the review on August 1st, the subcommittee made recommendations for 35 requests to receive a total of $599,330. So that is the request I'm asking for you to approve today, and Nick's rolling through the list. And we work hard to make sure we're integrating these attractions with our lodging partners. Our sales team does a great job, especially our group sales coordinator. She reaches out and makes sure that they're on the radar of incoming groups and meetings.
Thank you. I know it was a ton of work on this, and also a lot of discussion, I think, by the committee, as there were a couple of changes made for this year. Has anybody got any questions for Ms. McPhee on this? Would anybody like to make a motion to approve?
Make a motion, we accept this.
Very much. Thank you, Myers and Johnson. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you
for the time on that for the committees.
A big thank you to the committee members. There's a lot of work, and we recognize that. And, really good meetings this year, really good meetings. I have a special request to you for the last item. You want to introduce?
Oh, I can introduce, sure. This is a TDC meeting calendar update from Tam Hygett on, I think, the November 9th meeting.
Correct. I would like to cancel the November 9th meeting. Our annual meeting, it will be that day on November 9th, and we need to do that annual meeting in the morning. I know this conflicts with a meeting at the airport, unfortunately, but in order for us to have our guest speaker make his flight, we need to do the annual meeting in the morning, and I don't want to make you guys spend all day at meetings, so I am respectfully requesting to cancel the November 9th meeting.
Do we have any questions or discussion on that? Do we have a motion? Thank you, Mr. Fullick. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Wachulis, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. So remove November 9th from your calendars.
Well, don't remove it from your calendar. Please come to the annual meeting instead.
Come to the annual meeting.
Just giving you a different task for that morning, but it's going to be a great meeting. We're going to have breakfast at 8, I believe Brian told me. We will kick off promptly at 9:15. It's at the Westin, and our guest speaker is Peter Greenberg. So it's a not-to-miss occasion.
That's great. Speaking of Peter Greenberg, did we get that footage? Is that coming back around again? I remember this was a pre-storm visit that he had, and then it kind of fell apart with the storm. Has he done an update?
Came back and they
maybe come to the podium.
Story, and it rolled out on their anchor PBS station in Chicago on June 24th, but it is now live on Apple TV Plus and Amazon Prime, so I haven't seen a local airing schedule.
I'm sorry, Tam just whispered in my ear, please don't spoil the fun on November 9th. So I won't ask any more questions about Peter Greenberg. We'll leave the supplies for those people that come.
No, it's all good. In your communications packet, there is some information on the Peter Greenberg and where you can go and watch the segment. He obviously came back to the area and was able to certainly show some of the challenges we're facing, but also communicated the resiliency of our community as a whole, and particularly our tourism industry partners and their resiliency in rebuilding and bringing this place back to what we all know and love. Plus, plus.
All right. Thank you very much. For council information, I want to start with Ms. Crum.
Oh, thank you. Just some local notes. I had a dozen friends that came in from Orlando and spent 10 or 11 days at the Hyatt. fabulous, so beautiful. Staff was amazing. They had a wonderful, wonderful time. We went down and stayed a couple nights. And same thing was true. And during that trip, we also went over to the beautiful new Crow's Nest and had a fabulous dinner there. Excellent service, excellent food. Everything was great. So we're staycationing.
Mr. Johnson?
Just one note, item of note, just more for staff, and just so people do know they're coming. We're seeing a lot of Cuban tourists at late night dinners in Cape Coral, so if someone can explain to me why, I'd love to hear that. But we are having to brush up on our Spanish speaking quite a bit on late night.
Late night makes perfect sense to me, yeah. They definitely dine later. Interesting.
Your air service update, y'all have them, and it's good to be back.
Have you back?
Thank you very much.
None for me. Going around the room. Mr. Faisal.
Don't have much to say. It's good news, bad news, I suppose. We started to take August off in the sterile council. Still have a lot of activity going on in the council and in the city. And just like to extend my congratulations to Tony and Brian on their recent awards. I know we'll let it move over to talk about all on it or get away from it. Congratulations to both of them.
Mr. Crane.
Last month, we were able to host Florida Association, Florida Society of Association Executives at the Hyatt. They came up and we were able to showcase the Luminary and Bruce Sound Amphitheater. And it's all of the executive directors of just about every association in the state of Florida. I was at the hotel for a 4-day event and got a chance to see our area, got a chance to see how good it was here, had an amazing time. We've already seen business from it, which is fantastic. But it was just a nice shot in the arm to bring all those people down and show them how good this part of the state is, because they're the decision makers on massive association pieces of business that come to the area. So it's nice to have that. Other than that, that's all I have today. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fuller.
Well, I think it's a very positive thing to report for the entire continent. We've been involved in a signage project, although we're celebrating our 25th birthday next year. If you drive to the Bay Springs, there are no common signs. So we're going to be spending several $1 million, starting with monument signs, the entrance of the city, but more importantly, uniformity. I'm delighted with the design work that was done. It's friendly, it's appropriate for the area, but our visitors are not going to be able to identify when they see these signs that it really will give them an idea of where they're going. This local district, downtown, the beaches, the Hyatt, all of that's going to be addressed, including all of our street signs are finally being made uniform, so we're excited about that. Comment on the permitting department. If you don't know, Benita, we waived our permitting fees for anything that was storm related. And we voted our last meeting to continue that through the end of this year. So residents, businesses, if you're repairing in Benita, you're not paying permit fees. And it's a little bit of a hit to us, but we feel it'll make the recovery go faster. And finally, we've got a corporate citizen sitting next to me. And Brian, we're so proud of you being a member of our community. What the Hyatt's done, I could sit here for 5 minutes and talk about what a great partner in the community and how they supported everyone, including their staff. So congratulations, well deserved.
Mr. Whiteshields.
Congratulations to Tony again on his recognition and to Brian. I also need to thank Brian. I was in a meeting with him last week and he showed me that I needed readers. So now I have to read them. Yeah.
Well, thank you, guys. For those people going to the governor's conference, and if you have any golfing, the fun thing to do on the morning of the 6th. It's a great golf course out here, so we're going to go out there and hit some balls. The other thing I think everybody ought to remember is keeping thoughts and prayers for all the people in Maui. You've seen those pictures, and I had 2 houses burned to the ground next to my house. And to see a whole town behind me wiped out, just devastated. I mean, 11,000 people had to be evacuated. So as bad as things seem here for us sometimes, just all you got to do is blink your eyes and look at Maui with with those poor people and the hotelers and everybody, the citizens and everything. Just keep them in your thoughts and prayers. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. Moving to Tam Pygott for council information.
You have a very full packet. Apologies in advance. There's a lot of interesting articles, some local ones and some out of area. I very strongly encourage you to take a look at those articles. Some subjects around the state being talked about that are may roll into conversations that happen here. And then the bulk of that is a research report done by Skift. It's about that many sheets if you printed them out, two-sided, but there's some great information on there for business planning for the next year. I know my team is using it as we work on our plans for the next year, and I thought maybe some of you would find it interesting as well. Skift does a lot of research in the travel space, and it can either be get ready for bed reading, or it can be business planning meeting, however you want to look at it, but I hope it's good information for you.
Thank you very much. Just real quick, there's no September meeting, so the next meeting will be Thursday, October 12th for your planning. And if there's nothing else to come before us, meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Don't forget to take your governor. For those of you who are going to governor's conference, here's your shirt. We'll wear them on Thursday.
Thursday? Thursday. Okay. You're going to tell us.
I will remind you.
Thank you.